and in this video we're going to discuss the basics of version control using Visual Studio Code and Github. And in this video we're going to pick up from a lesson that we started in CSC230 in week 4 or 5, dealing with a project called Mountain Wheels Tour. So with this project, if you have finished step 1, you're going to pick up exactly where we are. Alright, so you see on my screen now that I have the Mountain Wheels Tour package open. It is in week 5. The two files I've got open are the MW Tour HTML page and the MW Styles CSS page. The only change I've made so far is step 1 that was in the book, which is change the names of the files to take off the TXT to add my name here. And then that was in branch 1 of this project because we are on step 1. So what I want to do is go through the 7 steps that were previously mentioned in the course. The first step is to get a repo. Now in this case, we don't have to repeat that step because the repos we're using in this class are actually represents the entire project. So everything that is in your CSC230 website design folder that has all of your assignments, all of your student data files, that is all in one spot, and that is one repo. What we're going to do is continually add to it, and from there build up a larger repo that shows growth and history and everything, so that if you do use this as a professional project for a portfolio, then the folks that are looking at this, potential employers, can look at it and see that you actually started with very little and all of a sudden you've got a very robust site at the end. So step 1 is slightly unnecessary, but again, normally you have to either get a repo or create a repo. So we're on to step 2, and as soon as we go to step 2, it's create a branch. To do that in Visual Studio Code, we're going to click down here where it says that we're currently on the master branch. It gives us a dialog at the palette at the top that says create a new branch. And for this project, everything starts with MW. And again, I use a 3-digit number just to keep track of this a little easier. So I type in MW-002. Notice this is all lowercase for branches and no spaces, only dashes, not underscores. I'll press enter. And what happens is my branch has been created. If I check down here, I'm now on that branch. So I'm going to click this button here to publish it out to the remote so that GitHub knows it exists. And that's it for step 2. Now on to step 3, modifying the code. The instructions in the textbook tell us to go into the head section of the MW Tour file and to add our links for the style sheets. So what we're going to do is put in a link for both mw_layout.css and mw_styles.css. All right, once we finish this step, you'll notice up here in the editor, we have a blue dot here with a 1 in it, and we have some unsaved changes. So the first thing I want to do is save all changes. Now what happens is the dot has moved from here down to our source control manager. And that means that we are now at the part of the end of step 3. Step 4 is to commit the changes. Now what this will do is you'll commit your changes here on the local side. That means the side you're working on, not the remote, which is GitHub. So I'm going to click Source Manager, or the Source Control Manager button here. I want to provide myself a quick message. Remember that these are typically past tense imperative. Statements like, I changed this, except since it's imperative, we leave out the I. So what I want to do is just, honestly, on this one, added links for styles. How about style sheets? And then to commit, we hit the check mark, which gives us saying all of this. Again, in this course, we're just going to hit yes for this. Let it stage and run everything over there. And then notice down at the bottom here to finish out step number 4, we're ready to do this part. So at this point, we have committed the changes here locally. Step 5 is to push the changes. So what we're going to do is actually click right here to push this out to the remote. And as soon as this becomes 00, we'll go take a look at GitHub. All right, so now we're at 0 again. Off to GitHub, refresh my page here, and notice this yellow mark in the middle is what step 5 is all about. There have been changes less than a minute ago. I want to create a pull request. So right now everything is finished with step 5. Step 6 is to actually make the pull request. So I'll click this button. At this point, I have the option to add some other details in here. Now you can get much more creative with this and add a lot of things. This does, again, remember, use Markdown. So I have some H1s, H2s. I can make this larger. I can add bold, italics, some quotes. I can add all kinds of stuff to it. I'm going to make mine very simple. So I'm going to hit Create Pull Request. The system will then compare your branch that you're on right here to see that it is compatible with merging. And if it's possible, then you'll get this green button. And that's the end of step 6. Now on to step 7, we get to merge this. So I'm just going to hit merge. Again, the system does most of this. So I'll confirm that yes, I do want to merge. The system says everything completed successfully. Please remember, in this course, we're not going to delete a branch. We're going to keep the entire history of everything here. But it has merged, so I've got this up here. Now to finish off step 7, we need to make sure that everything that just happened on GitHub also is recorded or copied back over to Visual Studio Code. So the last step of this is to sync this branch that we were just on. That way, in case we had to make changes to make it compatible, they're all there. After we sync the first time, we change back to the master branch. Notice that my master branch right here, my changes are not in there, my style sheets are not here, but they were in there and they were merged. That merge happened on the GitHub side, on the remote. They're not here. So to make those compatible or to make them show up here, notice I've got some changes that happened on the remote down here, the two, that are not here. So I'm going to sync again. In other words, once you finish on GitHub and you've done everything there, you come back here and you sync, change to the master and sync. Now those changes show up here and we're finished with that first step. Now what we'll do is, the second step. What we'll do is go on to step 3 of the book, which has you go into the MW styles file in your editor and make some changes. But the first thing you need to do is make a new branch, then make the changes. Go over to source and commit is step number 4. Push those changes as step 5. Go out to GitHub. And remember, we'll come back to the main project and we'll do a pull request. We will create the pull request, merge it, and then come back to Visual Studio Code and sync, change to master, and sync again. And that's it for the 7 steps for dealing with version control in Visual Studio with GitHub. Again, this video covered all 7 steps, and hopefully you're able to go back through here and review this several times if you need it. Remember, you can always contact me on my Book Me Like a Boss page, and you can always get in touch with me by email. I hope you found this video helpful and informative. Thanks again for watching.